And we're live. Hello, everyone. It's me. It's Ame. And right here, right metaphorically speaking, beside me. Go for it. You got this.
I'm back.
He's returned.
I'm back to complain again. Except not as much as you might think.
I'm going to complain hardcore. I'm going to tell you that now.
we might have some much more conflicting viewpoints on a lot of this stuff.
I will say, here's what's so bad. I went into this early today going, hey, I feel pretty good about the changes. I'm happy about everything. This I feel good to like D&D again. This is looking great. And then you gave me all the extra time to sit on it.
I don't remember how I introduced myself last time. I don't remember how you introduced me last time.
I kind of just introduced you the way I do everybody else. This isn't real. This is someone else.
I mean, I don't remember if we used an alias. I don't care. I don't have any social media, so don't ask.
You're the most famous person I know. What do you mean?
I'm here for one purpose and one purpose alone: to complain about an old-ass RPG that keeps getting updated.
That will get power crept to all hell. Can't wait for like my grandkids to come over one day and be like, hey, you want to play some D&D? I brought my D1000s.
well, Ame, what are we talking about today for all the good folks at home?
We're talking about the recent update to 1D&D, the expert classes. The feats, which, honest to God, I didn't take any notes on whatsoever, so we're probably not talking about that part.
Well, joke's on you, because I did read through all the feats, and I have things to say. So you're not getting out of that this easy, bucko.
I felt so lucky for a moment.
You're like, oh, it's gonna be like last time. He probably only skimmed the document. No, guess what? I sat down for a whole night and for 4 hours combed over this thing and did comparative because I wanted to sound professional this time.
See, I had you beat until you said sound professional, and I was like, oh, I can't say that at all.
You're gonna have to fight me over this one. You're gonna have to struggle to keep up.
Well, honestly, man, with that said, you want to get the boring thing out the way first? The quote-unquote boring thing, the great thing to me?
Go for it. I don't even know what you're referring to, so I'm curious.
The rule changes.
Oh, right. That the one part I didn't look at. So.
I kind of figured. DM mindset versus a player, dude. Literally, I was like, oh, go for it.
The big one I already knew, because I already saw people talking about it, is they already changed how inspiration worked from the first 1D&D to the second, which is either a good thing or a bad thing, depending on, how you're looking at it, because on one side you could go, yay, they're listening to the feedback. On the other hand, they're going, oh my god, they're already having to change things, and it's only been 1 month.
Look, man, I play like early access games and things like that. If these make drastic changes because everyone's complaining, I see that as a win. That's it. Honestly, so I didn't get a chance to really play test it because it didn't give me nothing to play test.
Oh yeah, we're gonna keep talking about that. Don't worry, that's how we're gonna be finishing talking. Is the continued problem that I brought up last time of how can I play test this when I don't have all of it?
Exactly.
And how do I know if this is good or not because it's in a vacuum? Guess what? Those problems are compounded with this document. They're made even more. They're made even worse, but we're gonna get to that. I'm gonna save that till the end.
So guess we'll hop right into it.
Yeah. How are you feeling about that? How do you feel that you get inspiration on a critical fail now?
So it's so weird to say I prefer it, because I do prefer the idea of, hey, you get a 1, getting a 1 sucks. So here's something to make up for it.
No, I agree, actually, and the reason is it kind of reminds me in a very loose way to the Star Wars role-playing game and the narrative dice system it uses, right?
I don't know much about that. Go for it.
All right, so essentially, there are like 3 different types of like things on those dice. There's success and failures, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's boons and banes. This probably isn't what they're called. I don't remember what they call them, but I'm just gonna call them this and explain what each of them mean.
Go for it.
And then there's like triumphs, and I don't remember what the bad one is, but big stinky failure, something like that. It's not what it is, but it's what it does.
That's what it feels like for the sounds of it.
So a triumph, essentially, you're rolling for success, right?
Okay.
You'll take like your own bonuses from your stats, the challenge of the task you're performing, and then add or subtract whatever successes or failures that you get. Now, the cool thing with the narrative dice system is you can succeed, but still get like banes. And so, like, you succeed, but something bad happens. Like, maybe you get the door open, but you strain your arm or something like that. Or you don't get the door open, but it, like, gets the attention of someone on the other side, you trying to open it, and they end up opening it, as an example. That's, like, a failure, but with boons, right? Mm-hmm. And then, like, a triumph would be, like, something really... it's like a crit... You're guaranteed success and something really, really good happens. Or really cool. And then, the opposite for the other form. So that kind of reminds me of, like, you see what I mean? It's like a really, really base, bare bones version of that. Of it's like, yeah, you crit fail, which means that you have no chance of success. But because you crit fail, you now have, you're rearing to prove yourself, you're something good comes out of it, and I like that because I personally think that any RPG incorporating more of the narrative dice style is a major positive. Having played with that system and really liking how things could go catastrophically wrong, or they could go wrong, but you have like some light at the end of the tunnel, or maybe they go incredibly right. That's like you had the best possible outcome, and it naturally leans into roleplay.
Oh, go for it.
I'm just going to finish by saying, obviously, it's not to the same degree here, but I like the idea that there's some future proofing behind your crit fails now.
So everything you pretty much said, it's funny the way you bring it up, because I felt like that's something that took away with the last update with the system they had with the auto success and the auto failures, which is gone now.
yeah.
Because in my mind, for different games, you would do like certain roles, and you say like, yeah, like I want the king to give me his kingdom. I got a nat 20. It's like, all right, well, he ain't giving you the kingdom, but hey, you're not going to get murdered.
That's to say, yeah, because I think we talked about that last time, right? Where it's like a crit success doesn't just mean you succeed; it means that a bad thing doesn't happen. It's like, oh, congrats, you got a critical success. He's just gonna laugh. He thinks it's a joke, and he's not going to execute you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how you play and rule with that. Well, and there's other. They added a whole like friggin' persuasion chart in this, like the attitude chart. I don't know if you looked at that. I love that. It's so good. It's like, thank God, because that was one of the things that like none of my players did very well in their games is like persuasion. So I'm happy that there's like a game system that's like, yeah, if you pissed this person off,
they're not going to be willing to sacrifice their life for you.
No, and it's like the best you can do is that you can get them to do what you ask as long as there's no risk if they dislike you, But hey, if you did a lot for them, then they might accept significant risk to help you out. And I'm already thinking about ways I could incorporate this into my campaign, right? It's like, hey, there's all these different factions. And then, like, when you get to the big bad end, a boss, you might like everyone's gathered together. You ask them to come with you. I'm gonna be using this, right?
You can get like your whole gather the townsfolk together to take on the vampire.
Yeah, it's like, and, you know, and it's on a smaller scale, that too. It's like, if you helped those people, they might be friendly towards you, and you have a much higher chance of convincing them to come with you and help you. On the other hand, if you didn't do anything for them, or if you managed to piss them off, then they're not going to. There's, you know, the best you can hope for is that they back you up from a distance, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I really like the attitude thing that they added. I think that's a great addition.
For me, what it kind of turns into, because this is the thing on my mind with it, it does something that I think a lot of like good DMs are doing anyway.
Yes, yeah.
But it realifies it, and then she kind of gives you like something to go off of.
And that's something that the D&D designers have said at numerous points they wanted to do, is they want, like, because they know that a lot of people are so, like, so stringent that they would just not do things if the book doesn't say. Or they're so beholden to like what the book says.
Bible thumpers.
And yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, that's not, like, if you're a good DM, you're probably breaking the rules in the book. You're doing whatever is in the service of your players, not in the service of the game.
It's and so I got so many things they added. I was like, I always done this. I forgot that's a rule.
I was about to say, there's a couple of things in here where I looked and went, wait, that wasn't how that's supposed to be?
Oh, that's so good. And like to that, I think they're going in a good direction right now. Like everything's kind of happening the way I think it should be at the moment.
It's funny because I have a friend who's a major power gamer who loves to like break the system and take advantage of that stuff. And I'm talking about it with this. He's like, oh my god, I can't believe you can't do this with Rogue Sneak Attack anymore. And I'm like, you could do that with Rogue Sneak Attack.
We're going to get to that because oh my god, god, Rogue.
Yeah, but any other stuff with the rules that you thought were particularly interesting to discuss?
I said we got a decent handful. Like there's small things, the movement change, which is just call out what type of movement you're doing, flying, walking, climbing before you make your turn. Like, that's fine. That makes sense. Exhaustion
got nerfed.
I think it got buffed. Like,
oh, really?
Crazy. Oh, okay, you gotta tell me this. Why do you think nerfed?
Hold on, I might be wrong. I gotta look at the existing.
As you look at the current rules, I would say the current rules were so punishing. I can't remember exactly everything you did on top of my head. Can it hurt you that badly?
Okay, so like I say it's a nerf because it says you die if your exhaustion exceeds 10, right? Meaning when it hits 11. In old exhaustion, when you hit 6, you died.
Yeah, but to me, wait. So your issue is now that it can hit 11, it should be 10. But now that it can hit 11, you die versus now beforehand when you hit 6, you die? Like, I think that's better.
Well, no, I'm not saying this is an issue. I said it's nerfed. I meant like exhaustion is like a lot less punished.
Oh, okay, nerfed in the reverse way. Like nerfed, like it's better for everyone.
Well, yeah, I say nerfed. I mean, like for DMs, it's nerfed. I guess is what I meant. Yeah, no, exhaustion. What I should have said is I like exhaustion a lot more now because it's much less punishing than it was.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like
half your speed when you get this level of exhaustion. Can't move at all.
Can't move. Hit points halved. The problem with exhaustion is it's so compounding. It's so compounding, and then you hit 6 and you just die. Now it's like, and like I remember friggin' like the Atropole, right? The Atropole from friggin' the Cholt one, whatever that was called. I don't remember.
I know the monster.
Yeah, it was you fought him with Acerak, and spoilers, by the way, for a like 5-year-old module.
No, I'm playing Tomb still.
Oh, okay. Well, then I won't talk about anything else with Tomb. Whoopsies!
I know parts of things like that, but to me, it's like if a monster gave you exhaustion, that was the worst thing you could suffer. Period.
Yeah. Okay, so there definitely isn't an atropole in that module. Definitely not. Don't worry about it. But if there was, it would be terrifying because, the atropole can literally just wail and it just gives you a level of exhaustion. That has gone from a near impossible encounter to, like, really bad but manageable.
Well, even classes like Berserker, which his whole gimmick was to give you exhaustion when you rage, basically. Even that seems actually doable now.
Yeah, and like imagine trying to do that and fight the atropole. You'd already be at like 3, in like a couple turns in. It's like, oh my god. And you're supposed to, you essentially had a 6-turn time limit with fighting the thing, or everybody just dies. Which, I mean, lore-wise, yeah, it makes sense for the atropole, but gameplay-wise, that sucks balls.
Gameplay-wise, I'm doing the anime protagonist and knocking out the barbarian before we go in.
So yeah, that's a lot better. Exhaustion was always something I thought was like incredibly punishing, so...
Yeah, so exhaustion 100% I think is better than ever. 2-weapon fighting. Oh my god, 2-weapon fighting.
Yeah, they made 2-weapon fighting a lot more feasible without having to build into it.
I'll say this. I think it made it amazing. That said, I think they also killed 2-handed fighting by doing that.
Possible, which has always been the problem, right, with trying to balance, is it's like if you make 2-weapon fighting too good, then nobody does 2-handed fighting. But if it's not good, then everybody just gonna gravitate towards 2-handed fighting.
Well, to me, I always felt like we had a good balance beforehand. Like with the finesse weapons, you have classes like Rogue that takes advantage of it.
It was a slight nerf because if you look at that actual feat, it used to just be like you could dual wield non-finesse one-handed weapons. Mm-hmm. That's gone now. You can't do that anymore. So I had like
worry about the feat, but the actual rule change where you get an extra attack, basically.
You get an extra attack. Yeah,
that's great.
I guess we'll talk about the feat later, but yeah, I was just kind of saddened by that because I had a paladin build where I did that and you use dual rapiers, and you're not going to be able to do that anymore. One of your weapons has to be a finesse weapon in order to like do that.
But my thought process on that too is short swords are considered simple weapons now, so you could just dual wield 2 short swords and there you go.
Are they?
Yeah, that's when the rule changes too.
Ah, interesting.
So I still feel like that balances out in his favor.
Yeah, it's just, that's kind of funny because I mean the whole point of martial is it's like if you're using anything more complex than like a simple blunt weapon or a dagger or something, you're gonna need training to make that work. So I don't know how I feel about short swords. Because somebody that's trained with a short sword is going to fight a lot different than somebody that just picks up a short sword.
I mean, like, you can look at the same name for a dagger, though, at that point. Like, somebody with finesse is going to be a lot better than a dagger than
I guess that's person. True. Yeah, I guess the whole ruling with all that stuff in and of itself is kind of weird.
I will take it from there and go towards the actions, which the new actions they added are honestly fun to me. Because we have our regular standard, our attack action, our help action. Hide action, they made an interesting change. Like, you need a DC 15 stealth now. You have to be in cover and out of line of sight.
I like it's a flat check instead of like, oh, it's versus their perception or whatever. It's like, it's better to just be a flat check. I want to say I like it being a flat check. I want to say that. We almost run to the same level I have with the auto crits, all the auto successes, auto fails. Well, now I'm like, oh, that guard over there, he's drunk, and I'm going to try to sneak past him. Well, I didn't beat the DC 15 stealth, so he spotted me. Like, yeah, that is like, it kind of pulls away from the, oh, you're kind of like playing into it to try to make it easier. You can't really do that anymore. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that way it is like a bit more annoying because you have to succeed. You have to succeed, and then the creature gets to do the wisdom check anyway to see if they just immediately see you.
Which I wish they play into passives with things like that. Like, if your stealth beats the passive, you should just be fine, unless they're actively looking for you.
I guess they're kind of like pushing more into they specifically only want the stealth focus to be on like Rogue and Ranger, or if you're casting like invisibility or whatever. But I mean, if you're cast.
But that's what makes it kind of weird to me, because this specifically hurts the rogues and rangers.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you're a rogue or a ranger, you're going to be getting like big bonuses to your stealth anyway. So, it evens
it's a
out
non-issue. Don't get me wrong; it's a non-issue for them.
Yeah, but I understand where you're coming from. It's definitely a bit. And now that we've talked about that and gotten one segment out of the way, are we still good? All the audio coming in?
I keep glancing over at it. It's currently working great.
Gotta make sure.
I'm seeing the levels for both our voices moving, and I'm like, that's a good thing. That's what I want to happen. Conditions we basically hopped into, basically exhaustion, the new hidden condition, the new invisible condition are both interesting.
What was invisible before?
There wasn't no invisible before.
Oh, so it's actually, that's right. It's actually a condition now. Because I remember thinking it was, and then somebody cast invisibility, and I'm like, oh no, it's not a condition. I'm like, oh, that's strange.
It's one of those things now where it works the way I think a lot of again, all these rules, it works the way I think people always wanted it to work, and now it's just in rule form.
Which is good. That's clearly a good change then.
Oh, yeah. And the whole thing is just you gain all the benefits from invisibility, even though you're seen as invisible. Like somebody spots you, you're no longer non-invisible or something.
Yeah, which was dumb.
Yeah. I think the only other one I want to kind of talk on with that is the brand new action, which is search action, influence action, which we kind of talked about.
Yeah.
The jump action, so you can't just jump anymore. Now you have to take an action to jump.
You have to take an action to jump, which I guess makes sense.
And also on that topic too, acrobatics being a strength check, which in my mind, what that kind of said to me was, oh, we can actually take our skills and use different attributes from now.
Yeah, possibly or they just wrote that incorrectly.
But I don't think they did, because on the rogue side, on top of the mini nerfs they gave to it, one quote unquote buff was you can use acrobatics as a dex check, and I'm like,
it's a dex check.
Cool, you make stuff the way it used to be again.
Yeah, that's probably it is what they're going for. Then that's neat. I like that there are kind of different paths to get there, because it makes sense. Yeah, it very much makes sense.
I also like the fact that they kind of put these in categories too, like the whole study action, where it's like you use Arcana, now you know about magic items, elementals, constructs. You use religion, you know about undead things. I'm like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, I forgot. I looked at that. And I forgot to mention how much I liked that. How like everything's kind of broken down in those categories, because a lot of the times, it's like the DM's like, oh, roll, and then they just kind of decide what you do or don't know
this
about.
Feels like this. Like you try to find out some ancient ruins. Yeah, that sounds like history. Go for it.
Exactly. It's like it's a good guiding tool. It's a very good guiding tool.
And now to get into the meat and potatoes of things.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I'll talk about one more thing before we hop into which you want to go. Your classes, or you want to do your feats?
We're gonna talk classes first, but I do want to make a mention on spells.
I was going to mention spells. That's why I asked.
Because
that nerf. Oh my god.
Yeah, but also I want to first off start by saying, as a closure to last time we talked about this, since as you probably remember, I was very concerned. Spell schools are still here, thank God.
I noticed that on the Bards section, and I won't lie to you, it left me feeling mixed.
That's right. Weren't you one of the people that actually wanted them to get rid of the schools?
It wasn't so much that I wanted them to get rid of schools. I like things being streamlined to categories like this type can use this type can use this. That said, the idea of classes, I hope they don't do more stuff like this I'm about to mention, which is Bard's case, which is you can only use the Wizard's giant spell list or the Wizard Warlock, all them, the Arcane spell list. But in that spell list, you also can only take
these. See, I actually like that because I think, and in fact, I was going to say, like, not only are the spell schools still here, they're more important than they've ever been.
That part is true. I'll
because
give that to it.
Unless you were playing a wizard or had like a specific feat, you really didn't care about the school of the spell.
Yeah.
And to me it makes a lot more sense because it's called a school for a reason, right? It's like if you're learning magic, you're going to be a teacher is probably only going to be teaching you
a specific type.
from a specific school. So to me it makes sense that like as a class, you only have access to like schools of magic that would kind of align with your logical pursuits, right?
I'm with you on it, and if that was like fully the case here, I'll be with you. But as it stands right now, that I see, it's only being used as limitations right now.
Oh, it is a limiter, but I mean,
but it's a limiter with no benefits as it stands right now.
Yeah, the problem is we've got two sides of this, right? Where my other friend who's like, oh my god, that I hate that the
go for it.
trying to put it exactly where it's like, oh, a bard should be like before where they can just use any spell they want from everything.
Which they still can.
Kind of. Yeah. We'll get to that.
We'll get to
but there's like two sides where one is like, oh, this is limiting the school thing. It's like there are people that want like, access to everything. And like, Bard does still kind of get to cheat and you get a bit more access. But I don't know, it's just the thing to me of like, they were mad that Bard was locked to Arcane. They're like, no, it should be like before, where they can just use anything from any of the three categories. And so
that was a bit ridiculous, to be fair.
Yeah, it is, and I thought that too. And so it's like, I personally have no problem with these limiters because it's not. I mean, I say it is somewhat of a big deal because it's locking you out of a lot of stuff you had access to before. But I kind of like the direction it's pushing it because it's like, yeah, you're going to be a bit more specialized now because only certain classes are going to have access to certain schools.
Even to that,
some specific exceptions.
To that though, it's like I'm gonna kind of really hold my thoughts on this till we see the wizard come out in all these. But as it stands right now, it's like they're saying you have to live in this niche, narrow gap, and you get no benefit from it. Like, I wish in the Bard's case, you got something better, like your illusionary spells or your enchantment spells were like a bit better. Instead, it was out of the cream of the crop, you have like these small pickings that you get to run with. While the ones that can use that, or the ones that are specialized, like making an assumption right now, Evocation Wizard, when we get that, it might have access to his full spell list. And its evocation stuff is even better than normal. Like, that's the limit on top of getting a large benefit from it.
But, yeah, that's true. But, I mean, I've been a person that has always been annoyed at how wizards had kind of defined entire classes or specs by their spell lists.
I hate it.
I always thought that it should have been more in line with the actual, like stuff that you get with the subclasses or the features of the class or subclass itself. And so seeing them massively kind of limit the spells and everything, I actually really like, because it's like now you're challenging yourself to make the individual classes and subclasses more interesting than you get access to these spells that you didn't before, Which again, I'm gonna agree with you once we see like the spellcaster. Yeah, because I have a feeling that Wizard is going to be like, oh, you get access to everything in Arcane, right? But you get like really strong versions of whatever school that you're specking into, which is
is
kind
what
of
I'm
how it was
hoping for.
before. Yeah,
Kind of, but I feel like they went in the wrong direction for 5e. Where again, like you said, like with Wizard, I'm focusing on these evocation again. I'm focusing on these specific fire spells to do different things versus I want to look at everything evocation has and like add that effect to my other spells. Like, why can't I use like a counter spell with a fireball attached to it?
yeah.
Like you detonate people's spells when they cast it or something.
While we're talking about spells, they changed some of the schools around as well. I don't know if you noticed that on some of the spells. I know Call Lightning or Call Thunder changed because I think that
the actual school of it or the category is it?
The school, because Call Lightning used to be a conjuration spell. I think it's an evocation spell now. Let me double check. I might be totally wrong about this, and if I am, blame my friend because he told me that it was this way. No, it's always been conjuration, and it's still conjuration. He's just a moron. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna have to hound him.
I gotta edit that out.
Yep. I'm gonna have to hound him. I'm gonna lay into him. I'm gonna be like, "What do you mean they nerfed Call Lightning for like turning it into conjuration? It's always been conjuration."
Make that note there for me. But
no, the audience is gonna have to hear it. They're gonna have to hear it. They're gonna have to suffer through me being wrong.
I might just do like small edits for lows, or just somebody zooming in with a magnifying glass or something. The people who watch the YouTube version know for sure. But when it comes down to that, though, it's like, again, as it stands, unless I missed something, we didn't really get anything that like affected the schools themselves, which is something what I still want to see at some point.
That could be neat. Like, oh, hey, this school has some inherent benefits to it for just it nice being in that school. Yeah, and it would also spice the classes up since they're limited to specific schools. It's like, hey, you're in this school, which means you get these benefits. But like we said, it's a hard balance thing if you're going to have Wizard where it's like, oh, they get access to everything. Yeah. Which
is, again, what I'm hoping that the giant categories fixes still, too. Where it's like, okay, well, they still, at the end of the day, they stay in their arcane bubble. While, like, Druids are like their primal.
What I really liked, it's from a game called, I think it's Frostgrave. The heck is it?
Frostpunk?
Yeah, Frostgrave.
Frostgrave.
It's a miniatures game, and how they do the magic in that is really neat, in that when you have all these schools of magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you do an action, whenever you cast one of those spells, you have to roll against a challenge rating. Well, the challenge rating of the spell is determined not only by the school that you're in and the school that the spell is in, but by sister schools, right? So in an example, it would be like let's say that I'm a necromancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that game, if I'm casting a necromancy spell, that's super easy for me because I'm a necromancer. If I'm casting a witchcraft spell, it's not as easy, but it's really, really easy because it's like it's adjacent to my school, right?
I see. Okay.
If I try casting a divine spell, it's going to be almost impossible because it's the opposite of necromancy in that game. So I liked that system because it's not limiting you on the spells that you get, but it's like you're probably gonna fail.
You should stick to your affinities and all that. Yeah.
So it's almost like almost something like that might be fun, where it's like, you can try to cast any spell, but you get like big bonuses for casting spells that are like, in your field and adjacent to your field.
I think the thing that kind of gets me with that one is I feel like on the wizard, sorcerer, warlock side, that'd be super easy. When it comes to the divine side and the primal, the druids and the cleric, I think that'd be a nightmare.
Probably, yeah. And that's kind of the hard thing, right? Is spells have always been a kind kind of a pain in the butt in D&D, especially 5e. I know a lot of people kind of shy away from playing spellcasters as their first characters because they find it all a bit much.
But I love casting Prismatic Wall and Reverse Gravity. It's a fun time.
I mean, yeah, I'll have to see how this plays out by like actually sitting down and making a character with these restrictions and seeing what kind of spells I could grab.
I will say I'm curious to try. So with me, it makes it kind of hard. Because with me, it's like my mind instantly thinks of like 1,000 different ways to get around the restrictions. I love to see like a new player like try to hop in with the bar, for instance, and try it out with that limitation to see what happens. Because in my mind, I almost feel like, I don't want to say it's unplayable because it's not, but I almost feel like it's so tough of a restriction to it that I can't see somebody having fun with it.
It's hard to say because I feel like the classes themselves already kind of leaned in this direction. It's just a hard restriction now. Because obviously Bard had a lot more illusion spells than, you know, a lot of others did. Now it's like you're specifically tied.
Now you are
I feel like let's actually talk about Bard since that's the first one up.
Yeah, because we brought it up like 30 times. We might
and so we're already kind of talking about it. Okay, first off, when I saw the name of this and heard about it from people, I'm like, oh, expert classes? Is this like the replacement for multi-classing or something? And it's like, oh no, the category, they have class groups now.
Can I say something on that? One, I think, missed opportunity with grouping up the classes. I feel bad you can't mix and match certain abilities from the other classes in that role.
I mean, that's what multi-classing is for.
That's true, but at the same time, like, it does feel weird. It's like, I'm a ranger. Rogue has some nice things. He can take sneak attack. Rogue has some nice things there that I would love to add to my ranger. It feels bad that even though we're in the same category, I have to dip my levels into that versus just going, well, I want to pick this feature instead of my feature from the rogue side.
Yeah, but I mean, they gotta give them some uniqueness in some way, or they're just kind of all. It devolves into, you know, people just kind of playing one specific build where they take all the good stuff from some of the expert classes. But that's where I feel like the subclasses would come in handy then. Cause now your sub locks you into more like, yeah, you can mix and match that ranger robe, but now you are a ranger due to your sub. That's how I would have did that. Yeah, that could be an interesting way of doing it. Is you just don't get to have a subclass if you take from the others.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, that you just get to your subclass is basically getting to take some of the features from others. I mean, at the end of the day, this is just design choice, not really a good or bad thing.
No, I'm sure this is going to change like drastically as time goes on too.
Yeah, I like how they did the class groups because for one, this determines a lot of the feats that you're able to get, which is cool, right?
Mm-hmm. That's always a nice benefit. Now you have like a set amount of things unique to you that you could add.
Air quality alert.
Air quality alert. What? What does that mean?
Large fires, so a bunch of smoke.
Okay. No. Okay, that's the bad time.
Anyway, I saw this pop up on my computer. When I see air quality alert,
evacuate. Let me know though.
Yeah, when I see air quality alert pop up on my computer, I kind of want to see what that's like, about.
What caused that? Yeah, no say.
Anyway,
go ahead, put the mark down.
But I really like the breaking them down that way because it does kind of have some. That's where the cross class stuff is, right? It's in the feats. It's you get access to the expert feats. And of course, you know, we can't compare because they only gave us the expert exclusive feats here. But I'm sure that when we get to see the others, because one of my friend's complaint was about this too, was like with how they're doing the subclasses and simplifying the subclasses and the spell stuff, the classes are losing a lot of their identity. And I'm like, well, no, it's just in the feats now.
I don't feel good about it being in the feats necessarily, but that is something I didn't consider. That I think you make a good point on the idea of knowing that the feats they have access to is something that you actually could just look at and go, oh, Lucky's really, really good. And that's something only my rogue, my ranger, my bard can get. My barbarian, which is amazing, can only take that by dipping levels into like an expert class.
And then they're going to lose out on other stuff. Yeah. As somebody that really liked how the 3.5 system worked that was feat focused, I really like this as a concept. Because it's like, hey, that you still have that splashing, and you can get some splashing without even having to multi-class, because it's like, hey, you're an expert. Here are the expert feats. You wanna, you might play a ranger slightly differently than someone else because you took different feats in that category,
Mm-hmm.
And there might be some feats. Yeah, there might be some feats that lean into some subclasses better or not. They've done a pretty good job at keeping the feats kind of generalized, but we'll get to that when we actually talk about those. Sorry, the last thing I was going to say about the class groups that I like is that it's kind of like being like, hey, if you want a balanced group, you probably want at least one of these from each class group.
What you mean?
Oh, it literally says that. It literally says, like,
consider taking like an expert, a warrior.
Yeah, when creating a party of adventurers, one way to form a well-rounded group is to include at least one member of each class group. That said, mix and match classes to your heart's content. But it is a nice basis because you're guaranteed that you're going to have, somebody that's specialized in, that has like proficiencies. You're guaranteed that you're going to have a big, magic damage focused individual. You guarantee that you're going to have someone with healing capabilities, and you're guaranteed that you're going to have somebody that can tank damage.
Once we get out the other 3 roles, mages, priests, warriors, I would love to have like a party of 4 from each group to see how that rolls.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I can't, cause in my mind, with the current rule set, I can't see a party of 4 paladins not just absolutely destroying everything.
Probably. First off, getting right into it.
Bard.
Magic secrets. Bard and magic secrets.
I was going to, you're actually going deeper than I thought you would. I was going to say getting right off into it, proficiencies. Bards' weapons are gone.
They are, aren't they? They only have simple weapons.
So,
wow.
I mean, the good news is, like, short swords are considered simple weapons now. That said, no crossbows, no ranged bard at all.
Well, yes, unless you take the feat.
But that almost feels... Do you think that's on purpose, then? Just the idea of, like, giving the feat to balance out your choices?
I absolutely think that they're limiting your base weapon proficiencies to encourage actually taking the feats that give you different weapon proficiencies.
Yeah, but limiting it to literally nothing I would call simple weapons?
Yeah, it's definitely... like, Bard got probably the biggest nerf here. It got a lot of nerfs. Okay, well, yes, the rogue. Well, thief, yes, thief but like,
exists. Oh my god.
To be fair, I'd argue that the big thing that we're probably both thinking about that got nerfed was kind of broken in the first place. But yeah, we'll get to that.
If words can't sum up the face I made, but we'll get to it. But going off from that though, the bardic inspiration. Actually, so I'm gonna say my thoughts on this before we go even deeper. I think Bard is Kate Allard is looking fantastic.
Bard got some good. Wow. Yeah, Bard got some good buffs in the support category, right?
Oh yeah, bardic inspiration healing now.
Yeah, it's awesome. There's other stuff later that boosts Bardic Inspiration in the subclass, and I think just later in the class itself.
Mhm.
You always have like support spells prepared. Also,
But here's the thing.
gonna...
But here's my problem I have with that. So I have a huge issue with Song of Restoration, and that being they gave you options. They gave you the option to automatically get something you could have picked anyway if they had the old Bard rules.
Exactly.
From you.
Yeah. Also, it's worded horribly because here's what it says, right?
Sure, go for it.
When you reach certain levels in this class, you add a specific spell to your Songs of Restoration repertoire, as shown on the table. You always have that spell prepared. That singular, right? Implies that you can only have one of these prepared at a time. But that's not true, because if you scroll down to the prepared spell list under Bard, it specifically says, like, oh, hey, if there's a dagger next to this, it means that you always have it prepared. Guess what? All of the spells in the repertoire have that, meaning that wording is just incorrect. It should say you always have these spells prepared, plural.
I see why they did it. I will say, I'm not going to say it's not problematic, because it definitely is. But I see the logic being second level that spell, fourth level that spell.
Yeah.
That singular like that is kind of,
Yeah, because I had an argument. My dad and I were reading over this, and I had an argument with my dad for like 5 minutes about whether or not you got to, until we scrolled down and it showed, oh, you do actually
think
have
about
all
it
of
that way. But like, I honestly, I did read it as that spell. Like, yeah, it's a second level that spell. Was how I actually thought about it.
Yeah, but I mean,
but I can see somebody making that argument.
But what this is nice is it means that, like, you don't have to prepare any of these. You know, you get to choose different spells.
Which we'll talk about magical secrets too. That's a fun little extra wording they put in it.
Oh boy, poor magical secrets got hit real
I feel
hard.
like magical secret is the best thing in this document.
It's funny that you say that, because my friend thinks it's the biggest Bard nerf ever. And I somewhat agree with them.
Do you want to hop straight down to that one? Because Jack of all trades, they just moved it to level 5.
Yeah, they moved a lot of stuff around, yada yada.
Yeah, there's nothing really crazy there.
So the reason I say this is a nerf is specifically because I want to compare this with the magical secrets that used to exist, right?
Okay.
For one, you got magical secrets at 10th level before.
Mm-hmm. Now it's 11.
Now it's 11. Also, you got 3, and now you only get 2, I think?
Yeah, you're right.
I might be wrong about
that.
Right
about
okay,
that.
Yeah. So here's how the old magical secrets read.
Mm-hmm.
By 10th level, you have Plunder Magical Knowledge, yada yada. Choose 2 spells from any classes, including this one. A spell you choose must be a level you cast, as shown on the Bard table, or a cantrip. The chosen spells count as Bard spells for you and are included in the number of spells known in the spells known column of the Bard table. And then you get that 2 more times for a total of 6 spells from literally anywhere, right?
Right.
Here's the new one. Choose a spell list, Arcane, Divine, or Primal. Whenever you prepare spells for this class, up to 2 of the spells you prepare can be from the chosen list and from any school of magic. Prepared spells otherwise follow the rules of your Bard spellcasting feature. So
now? Yeah.
The problem is you have to choose a spell list, so that's limiting, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is nice is it can be from any school, so you're not limited by the Bard schools there. But before, you could just take 2 spells from literally anywhere, and you got to do that for what would, by the end of, by, I think, 16th level, 18th level, you'd have 6 spells from anywhere.
So, the reason I'm okay with this change, and why I think this change is amazing, is that one singular word they added, prepared. Which means every time you rest, you can choose any 2 from any of those lists.
Yeah.
Versus beforehand, where it's like you get these 2 and you just locked into them.
Yeah. So now, I will point out, with how it's worded, once you pick the list, you're locked into that list. Because it says up to 2 of the spells you prepare can be from the chosen list. So how I read that is you choose a list, you're locked into that list, but then you can, whenever you prepare spells, it can be any of the spells from that list. Two spells.
No, I read that completely different. I read that as every time you sleep, you can just pick a different list.
The reason that I don't think that's true is because of the further magical secrets, which says as follows: choose a spell list, arcane, divine, or primal, that you didn't choose for your magical secrets feature. Why would it specify that if you could just swap it?
I see what you're getting at.
So once again, poor wording, needs to be worded better, but
I still have to admit, choose, because still it's a spell list, so it has to be one of those three. I still see that, even if that's still the case with that, that's two separate lists.
Yeah, you get two separate lists and then two spells
that you can swap
that you can
from
swap
every single day.
Yeah.
From the list.
So I like thinking about that a bit more. That's not as much of a nerf as I thought. I mean, obviously you don't. It's a nerf in that you don't get as many spells, but it's a buff in that you get less, but you get to situationally change them.
Out of that.
Yeah,
because to me, it's like, in my mind, I think like there's so many scenarios I could think of where going to sleep, you're like, okay, this is our plan for sneaking to a base tomorrow. All right, I'm going to choose this list here. I'm going to get invisibility or greater invisibility.
So, hopping down to the subclasses, College of Lore used to get another magical secrets, meaning that if you went College of Lore, you got 8 spells total.
The subclass for Bards, the only subclass I didn't look too deep into, but it's also because of like my lack of Bard knowledge.
They changed it in that you get like an extra buff to cutting words. You get like 2 buffs to cutting words instead of 1. In that, you know, you basically get to deal damage with it, which is cool.
Dealing damage versus immortality for a teammate.
Yeah, you get cunning inspiration instead of the additional magical secrets. So they can roll. They get advantage basically whenever they do their bardic inspiration roll, which is cool.
But also not mad at too. Oh, well, also okay, that actually could be kind of crazy based on how that's worded. I gotta look at it carefully. Because there's one thing in Bard spell list, which is every time someone rolls a 1 on your bardic inspiration, even if they pass or fail to check, it doesn't matter. You get that inspiration back. If they're doing something with advantage, in theory, they could roll 2 1s, still pass their check, and you get 2 inspiration dice.
Yeah,
that's
maybe.
Jank, but I gotta read it deeply.
That's
like,
very
really
jank, but all in all, yeah, like, my friend hates this. I think it's fine, honestly.
I don't think it's like a massive buff or anything like that, but I honestly think it's like a side grade. I don't think it's anything crazy or better or worse for Bard.
Yeah, Lore is definitely like full into the inspiration and cutting word stuff now, which is cool. That's a very cool, you know, like controller style class. Mm-hmm. And they still have Peerless skill. Big thing with Peerless skill got buffed as well, right? For one, it looks like they're getting rid of every wording where you have to make the choice before you know the outcome. That's like gone from all of these, which is good because I always thought that was kind of stupid. Yeah. So here's the important thing, right? So old Peerless skill, when you make an ability check, you expend a bardic inspiration use, you roll an inspiration die and add the number rolled to your ability check. And then you can choose to do so after you roll the die for the ability check, but before the DM tells you whether you succeed or fail. The new one, when you make an ability check and fail, you can expend 1 use of Bardic Inspiration. You roll the die, add the number rolled to the ability check, potentially turning it into a success. If the check still fails, the Bardic Inspiration isn't expended.
That's nice.
Yeah, so that got a massive buff.
But I also will say, too, most of everything you said for that, that's the base change to Bardic Inspiration already now. With the addition of, if they fail, you actually don't waste the dice, which is amazing.
So, Bardic Inspiration is becoming like a real powerhouse, and also, you know, cutting words is a lot better as well, since you can do damage with it at 10th level for lore now.
Yeah, you just get what I'm saying. I think this is good.
Yeah, like this one, like we said, the problems are with the base, with the limitations of the schools. But to be fair, the limitations are lessened by magical secrets. You know, if you really need,
if it really does become that much of an issue, there's a fee. I think it's Magic Initiative which fixes most of this too, on the spell side. Because for the most part, even when it comes to the spells, divination, enchantment, illusion, transmutation, with the exception of enchantment, I don't think those are really great schools. And on top of that, like, you lost spells, like you can't do fairy fire anymore. Like, oh, that sucks. You can't do thunder wave. Oh, that kind of sucks. But also you get spells like Hex now. You can cast Hex with a bard. That's great.
Well, and that's why I kind of think that the spell limitations aren't as much as a limiter as you think, because they did lose an access to a lot of spells, but now everybody that has that school just gets the whole ass school as long as it's in, like, you know, the arcane category. So, like, I argue it's more reshuffling of abilities than a limiter. It's a side grade. It's like a side grade, you know?
It's like, you're it, but at the same time, I'll admit, I ain't gonna say it's that much worse than what we originally had.
And, like, you get 4 spells from anything, and, like, like, I can't imagine that for most people that I know, their bread and butter spells don't exceed, like, 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you really, really, really think that one of those other spells is bread and butter that you lost, just take it with magical secrets. I mean, and then you just have it.
Isn't whole person an enchantment spell? I could be wrong on that, but
so well, let's find out. Let's find out. Let's see. And is it arcane still? I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
I'm gonna scroll down and get Ranger section ready.
Yeah.
Because plenty of the good stuff to talk about with Ranger.
Yeah, there's some interesting things to talk about there.
In my notes, I have in giant capital bold letters, Rangers are gods.
Yeah, Ranger got some much needed improvement. My friend also hates the new Ranger because he's like, oh, the flavor is gone, and I'm like, but the flavor sucked.
The flavor's better than ever.
Yeah, I'm like, the old Ranger flavor sucked though. It was really bad. There's only one thing with Ranger that I don't like. Other than that, I think it's a massive improvement.
We'll see. I'm actually curious if it's the same thing I have. Cause I'm gonna be honest with you. Underneath, like, everything else I have here, I wrote down, like, maybe they need a nerf. And you'll see my thinking on that as we go through this.
Okay, what level is hold person? It's a second level. Yeah. So it should be here. I'm not seeing hold person in the arcane list. It might not be an arcane spell.
What?
Let's look at primal.
Okay, we're gonna have a whole different problem here.
It's not in there as a second level, I don't think. Wait, hold on.
Maybe a divine to make sense.
It might be divine.
It might have just not put whole person on the list, which is, again...
Oh, no, it's divine. There it is, right there. Here. Hold person is not in the arcane list, which means that you do not get it as a bard unless you take it with magical secrets.
Oh, that's it. A divine list just got a whole lot more shiny, that's for sure.
I think it would take too long for this podcast, but I'd love to, as a separate podcast, to just go through every spell and where it's at and talking about, like, the implications of that.
There, how this feels. Because, well, here's the problem with even doing that right now. It's like, as far as its categories go, the only I can look at and say, well, these are the classes I got access to it through that field, right? And frankly, clerics were, like, the big one with, like, whole person and all those spells. It's like, do I think clerics' overpowered spell list still feels overpowered? Man, first glance?
Yeah. Heck yeah, it is. Can you still excel with an entire party full of clerics? Probably.
Most likely. But also, I'm going to need the class kind of there with it. Like, there's so many things, and we're getting to that point finally where I think I could, like, do a playtest run with certain things and just see how I feel with it. But I do wish I had one of every category at least.
Yeah.
Especially since there's ones like Paladin that exists right now. But like, I really want to see how Paladin feels with an actual spell list.
Oh yeah. Getting more into that, everybody gets rituals now, which is something we forgot to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can cast a spell, you can ritual, which I think is fine because I think honestly I think
always been.
Yeah, my friend's like, oh no, more flavor being lost. And I'm like, I thought that I felt that using ritual spells as giving classes flavor was such a cop out. Oh wow, I can do ritual spells. Oh cool, that's a real selling point of the class.
Well, I guess the idea is there was a feat to give it, but it's like I don't know anybody who wants to look forward to be able to cast rituals as their feat.
Exactly, it's boring. And if you in the audience think I'm wrong, I don't care. It's boring.
Feel free to fight me in the comments down below.
Ritual spells are boring. They don't get me excited. I don't look at a class and go, "Oh, they get access to rituals. I'm in."
Well, I will say, I think the ritual spells themselves, some of them are cool. The two I'm thinking of anyway.
Well, guess what? I'm probably more inclined to look and actually dive into them now that everybody gets them because it's like, oh, hey, maybe I want this. Here's my thing
too. Who all did it? I think it was just sorcerers, right?
I think cleric had ritual spells as well. I don't even remember.
But I feel like the list was so small that I just basically didn't think about it anyway. So
clearly it left a big impact on us.
Oh,
you know?
Clearly.
Other thing I wanted to talk about that I really like is how they do the starting equipment now.
Oh, with the gold cost, right? Or the gold.
Yeah, which is, I believe, how they did it in 3rd edition. It's like you could take, like, a kit, or you could just take the gold and then buy, like, whatever that gold could afford. I really like that.
That said, I gotta see how they handle the cost on things, because as it stands right now, I go, cool, 150 gold. I can't wait to get armor and a shield.
And then no weapon. Just punching everything until you can actually get a sword.
It's my problem, dude.
That's
what I can't wait for.
Bard gets a shield training. They can wear medium armor right off the bat. I think that's... I don't remember if... I don't remember. Let's look it up.
Okay, I remember the simple weapons, and I went, that feels wrong.
Yeah, yeah, because they get simple and martial. Yes, they got shields simple.
Beforehand, they did. That I did know.
Yeah, so that hasn't changed at all. Then
just simple weapons and light armor, so no shields.
No, wait. Are we looking at the same class?
I'm looking at the new one, the 1D&D. The original, their starting equipment was solid.
Yeah. We're talking about equipment.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just talking about training. Like.
Oh, well, I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking at. Proficiency.
That hasn't changed because armor training they still get all the same, and then they still get simple weapons and martial weapon training.
They don't get martial weapons anymore.
Yeah, they do.
In 1D&D? No, they don't.
Yeah, I'm looking at the document right now. It says weapons, simple weapons, martial weapons for Ranger.
Oh, for Ranger! No, you said Bard.
No, I'm sorry. I probably said Bard by accident.
I was like,
no, I'm talking about Ranger.
I mean, I guess I think it's a complaint. I want to complain if my Bard have martial weapons, but also why?
And then...
No, if we're hopping into Ranger now... So much good to go through. The proficiencies I don't remember too much. I'm gonna have to scroll up to it. But they said martial weapons, simple weapons, medium armor, shields, light armor. I will say one issue I always had in Rangers beforehand was why play them when you could just play a fighter with a bow.
Well, and that the problem is playing a fighter with a bow was also better than playing Ranger.
I mean, I'll go a step further. Like, playing a fighter who just fought unarmed was better than a monk.
yeah, and that was one of the big problems. Thankfully, because of how they changed it on Armed Strike, hopefully that won't be as much of an issue anymore.
But Ranger was one I was looking forward to, too, because these are my player in our Discord server, not ours, but in my other Discord server, absolutely hates me because they could tell my hardcore disdain to Rangers in general. Like, as they do things, no matter how hard I try to hide it.
All right, this is gonna get a lot more technical because a lot has changed with Ranger.
Well, let's start about, to be the biggie, Hunter's Mark.
Oh yeah, Hunter's Mark is a lot better now.
No concentration.
Nope.
And not a bonus action.
And it's basically just replacing favorite enemy now.
Here's my thing. What have they done? Because I'm gonna tell you a scenario that goes through my mind when I see this. I look at Hunter's Mark and go, "Oh, that's not a concentration spell, and it lasts its full duration." And then I think, "Wait, Magic Initiative, I can get that and get Hex. I can use Hex and Hunter's Mark at the same time." And then I keep thinking, I go, "Oh wait, two-handed weapons, I can just attack as an extra action, as an extra attack with it now." And my mind just going, "Oh my god, I can do 66 damage at level 1.
Yeah.
Swinging and hitting somebody."
Ranger has become the single target focus, and especially because of something they changed in the subclass that we're gonna get to.
Good lord, I love the subclass, but I guess moving down the list on it, because it's level 1, I think it's fantastic.
So yeah, they get Thorn Whip, which I know my friend is like frothing at the mouth that they get Thorn Whip, because apparently when they were talking, the reason is my friend's a big Druid player, right? Mm-hmm. And apparently when they were in the video where they were talking about this document, they mentioned how Thorn Whip, it works better on Ranger than Druid. And they did not like that very much.
That's a weird sentence, to be fair.
It's a weird, yeah. I don't know. They're like, "Oh yeah, you'd never take Thorn Whip on a Druid," and I'm just like, why not? It's a great spell. It's a great spell. I mean, yeah, it's great on Ranger too, but it's just a good spell. You get to move people around.
You know something huge we missed right out the gate? Ranger has cantrips now.
Oh, that they didn't before, right?
Yeah, this is new.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Ranger didn't have cantrips.
I underestimate how much they used to suck.
yeah. Now that we're really thinking about it, Ranger was really bad, wasn't it?
That to me.
Also, cantrips are called 0-level spells now, but only sometimes in the document, and sometimes they're still called cantrips.
They were always called 0-level spells, but nobody used that name. We just said cantrips.
Yeah. And look, not only do you get the primal list, the only thing you can't use in the primal list are evocation spells.
I think that's smart.
Yeah, but I mean, that's so much better than Bard, because Bard can only do 3 schools. This one is you get everything that isn't evocation out of there. That's a lot of utility.
That's to me, and this is why we gotta go do that other vid of just talking about the different spells in the list and do they belong. Because in my mind, Arcana should be the utility spell list, because Wizards using it. And in my mind, Wizards are the utility spellcasters. So,
I've always viewed Ranger as a utility, personally, but because it's, but I mean, I kind of
on the idea.
Well, I kind of had to, because they ain't putting out the damage, are they?
No, they're not.
Okay, I'll splash some healing. I'll splash some, I'll splash some of this. If I gave you
the option of a Ranger or just a rogue with a healing clip, which one would you pick?
My only experience with playing Ranger is I multi-classed a Ranger and a Cleric.
Gloomstalker and a rogue, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, and I was busted because I had. Oh, hey, forgot to mention this when we were talking about feats. They nerfed the sharpshooter. They nerfed sharpshooter.
No, more than nerf. Wait, hold on a second. Let me double check sharpshooter, because Great Weapon Master is dead.
Yeah, because sharpshooter used to be hey, you could take a -5 to hit, but you do 10 extra damage. That's just gone now. I mean, it's still good because it lets you, shoot in melee range and it gives you some other bonuses, but it's not like absolutely
way too situational to be now.
Yeah, but that was like how I did my cleric build, right? Is I buffed up, I did all my spells to buff up my damage and my ability to hit, Hunter's Mark, and then, whatever cleric spells I wanted to throw on top of that, and then I just take the -5 to hit, do a multi-attack with my boomerang because it counted as a ranged weapon and not a thrown weapon, and then just friggin', lay into him with, combined with Colossus Slayer, which also got changed, but we'll get to that.
But to say logic, you could have just had a fighter with Great Weapon Master and maybe 2 levels in Paladin. And just dish out like 200-300 damage and have fun.
And that's always the problem. I mean, that's kind of the problem with anything, though, is like, I could do a fun build and someone says, well, yeah, that's cool, but you could have just done this and done like double the damage. It's like, I don't care. I want to have fun.
But I like doing big numbers. And also, while we're on that topic, too, I am incredibly surprised that Sentinel and Pam came out okay. The fact that those 2 feats didn't get nerfed to the ground is like, what? Consider what they do in Wizards.
Oh yeah. You get roving now instead of natural explorer.
I think roving. So at first I was lukewarm to roving. I was like, oh cool, level 7 and I can move 10 more feet. And then I really thought about it and went, oh wait, no, I can move 10 more feet and have a climbing speed and a swim speed.
And then you compare that to Natural Explorer, which was you picked one biome and then you had some bonuses with that.
I'm glad you took the time to like look back at what Rangers had originally and just like dotted it down, because for me, if I wasn't using Tasha options for the Ranger, I wasn't touching the Ranger.
And that's the thing. Like I said, that's why I spent like 4 hours comparing, is because I wanted to. I knew it was gonna be like last time if I didn't, where I'd be like, oh, that sounds good. I haven't played enough to know if that's actually a buff or a nerf. I didn't want that this time. I wanted to actually go in and be like, yeah, I looked over old Ranger and I looked over new Ranger. Here's the differences. A lot of these classes get stuff earlier, by the way. There is some stuff that got pushed later, but almost every class is getting stuff at a earlier level than they used to. Part of that is because of the epic boons.
I was going to say the same as that thing, like, because their 20th got pushed down to 18, which is a good chance.
Other stuff back.
You actually have a chance of seeing that in the game. A low chance.
And further, you could splash 2 levels of another class and still get your really nice capstone.
But that's also something I would say too, and this is an issue with the capstones in general. How many of them can you think of that were actually good?
They're all right, but they're not 20th level. But with that said, the epic boons, on the other hand, some of those are crazy. But they're 20th level.
They're 20th level, and for me personally, I kind of wish a lot of the boons did more. I gotta re-look through them to know like the ones that really stood out in my head. But I recall 2 of them making me go, yeah, no, that's amazing. I'll pick that at level 20. And the rest I just felt lukewarm to. Like 40 more HP. That's great for a paladin.
I was saying, if you're a tank, that's a must pick, because it's like, yeah, I just don't die. Well, not only 40 more HP, but you also just like get like more health back as well with like because it's like any time you get healed, you get like more health back. That was like another part of it.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
That's why I like them, is because even the ones that are like, oh, you get 40 health back, I'm like, okay, and it's like at any time you get healed, you get like more heal. You get like 10 extra hit points or something anytime you get healed. I'm like, whoa, okay, that's cool.
That part's nice. But in my mind,
we'll look at that.
You compare that to like recovery, though, where it's just like, let me just heal half my HP as a bonus action.
Yeah, that's also nuts. We'll look at the epic boons after the classes.
Okay,
that's probably a good place to finish off.
I think so too. For on Ranger Steel, got Tireless at level 11.
Yeah, which is nice.
I want to see what's going to happen. Like, there's so much stuff involvement exhaustion in this document that I want to see what they got planned for it. Cause this to me feels like, okay, more monsters are going to start putting the exhaustion status on you. Am I the only one who got that vibe?
Probably.
Go for
so, yeah, I'm just looking through stuff again.
Nature's Veil, level 13.
Yeah, which was I have to remind myself that the Ranger archetype stuff had was friggin', or the Nature's Veil and everything were optional features. That wasn't even part of base. Oh my god, Ranger really had nothing.
It's kind of part of his reputation it had for so long with just being dead class. Which Nature's Veil is nice.
I think it's cool. It's just a better version of Vanish. Which is what they got before at 14th level.
Okay, I was going to ask, what's Vanish? You said it.
Vanish was, at 14th level, you can use the hide action as a bonus action on your turn, and you can't be tracked by non-magical means unless you choose to leave a trail.
Cool, you're, slightly better than a level 2 rogue.
Exactly. Now it's you can just turn invisible with a spell slot. It's cool.
That's great.
Awesome. Yeah. Feral Senses. You get blind sight for 30 feet of blind sight.
Oh my
God. Is wild. Oh my god. Yeah, that is so good. And before you got Feral Senses, which was kind of like that, but it was just oh, you don't get disadvantage from from trying to attack invisible creatures, and you know where invisible creatures are.
To me, the blind sight fighting style has been the bane of my 5e gaze, because it's 10 feet of just basically God mode if something walks up to you.
Except now Rangers have 30 feet of God mode. Wild.
They had a blind sight update inside the document too. And it made me kind of laugh, because the idea that it still works for invisibility enemies. It still works for things you can't see. These are just kind of enters that range for you. But what it doesn't work on is enemies behind 3/4 or more cover.
Yeah, this is interesting.
It's odd to me that you can be invisible and walk towards me, or you can hide behind a rock. And I have a better chance of seeing the invisible guy.
Also, you get that 3 levels earlier than you got the old Feral Senses.
Which, of course, dude. Jesus.
Yeah, because you used to get Feral Senses at 18th level. And then Foe Slayer was 20, which, oh boy. Oh boy, get ready.
So 20, so that's good.
Once on each of your turns, you can add your wisdom modifier to the attack roll or the damage roll of an attack you make against one of your favorite enemies.
So not only is it your wisdom mod, but it has to be.
It has to be one of your favorite enemies. Now it's just your Hunter's Mark deals an extra D10 instead of the D6.
I felt kind of lukewarm to the 1D10, and you told me that, and I go, no, that's amazing.
Yeah, that doesn't seem that good until you remember what Foe Slayer used to do, and now it's yeah, that's leagues and bounds better than the old one.
Oh my god. I also gotta see, because this is when they start getting access to they have access to it already, their 5th level spells. I gotta look and see what the 5th level primal spells are and stuff.
Remember, anything that is an evocation, they can throw from that primal list.
You can go crazy with that. Really
all right, Hunter. I don't like Hunter. I'm sorry.
Hunter, why? I have to know what's wrong.
Okay, so first off, Hunter actually got to choose, you got to choose different features at the level, right?
Yeah.
They basically kind of just condensed those choices into ones that are slightly better than the individual, but not as good as they were on their own. Well, I mean,
you can bring up the Hunter.
Let me put it this way: Hunter was one of the only playable Ranger archetypes.
Oof.
because they got stuff like Colossus Slayer, which they kind of still have. When you hit a creature that has already taken damage, it takes an extra D8.
But now this is every creature you hit takes an extra 1d8 once per turn.
Yes. But they still have to be missing hit points, so it really hasn't changed. The only part that's changed is that you can do it with an unarmed strike now, which you couldn't before.
But to me, since you're hitting somebody anyway, like my thought process kind of goes on this. You hit them, you have your Hunter's Mark already going for that person. They're taking damage now, this is triggering.
No. It would I'm sure the ruling on that would be it would have to be the next attack. I'm almost certain that's how they'd rule it, because I think because you could Hunter's Mark Colossus Slayer before, and I'm pretty sure that they ruled it that other way. I could be wrong.
It's possible, but to me, the only reason I kind of think the way I do. Oh, wait, you know what fixes that anyway? You just use 2 short swords. There you go.
Yep, there you go. Yep. So Hunter's Lore is a complete replacement of defensive tactics.
So what was going
defensive tactics? It used to, you had a choice between 3. Either opportunity attacks made against you were made with disadvantage. When a creature hits you with an attack, you get a +4 bonus to AC against all subsequent attacks made by that creature. Multi-attack defense. Mm-hmm. And Steel Will, you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. Obviously, you probably would have picked multi-attack defense in that case. I was going to say
the same thing. To me, my thought process on that one kind of goes like the opportunity attack. You're a ranger. You probably don't want to be that close to be risking opportunity attacks anyway.
You might be a melee ranger.
You might be, but are you though?
No. Now you might be.
Now you definitely. You were kind of encouraged, in my opinion. But yeah, multi-attack I think is the best one. With this, my thing about this kind of has immunity, resistance, and vulnerabilities. Is what this one does. It lets you know it with Hunter's Mark.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of good can come from knowing what you're fighting, what it's resistant to.
Yeah, no, I like the Hunter's Lore. It's just kind of a whatever swap. Now the one that pisses me off is what they did to my poor multi-attack.
I love multi-attack. What was the original?
Oh, get this. You got the choice between 2. Volley. You can use your action to make a ranged attack against any number of creatures within 10 feet of a point you can see within your weapon's range. You must have ammunition for each target, as normal, and you make a separate attack roll for each target. Basically, anyone within 10 feet of a point you could hit with your ranged weapon, you just got to do an attack action against. Every attack.
So, this blows out the water to me, because this is Conjure Barrage.
Conjure Barrage isn't as good as that, though, in my opinion.
Well, Conjure Barrage is... But one is a dex save, right?
Let's see.
So
you throw a non-magical weapon or fire a piece of non-magical ammunition in the air to create a cone of identical weapons that shoot forward and disappear. Each creature in a 60-foot cone must succeed on a dex saving throw. They take 3d8 on a failed save or half as much on a successful one.
So this is a 60-foot zone instead of a 10-foot zone.
True. But you have to use a spell. You have to use a spell slot for it. Before you volley was just built into your attacks after you had it.
But to me, I feel like volley's so situational because, like, in my mind, I can't picture how often you're getting 10 feet. I got probably at best my 2 enemies that's right there to focus on that I may or may not hit. While with this I'm getting guaranteed damage in that 60 feet.
And then you could take Whirlwind Attack instead, which was whenever you make a melee attack against a creature, you could basically make as many attacks against anybody within 5 feet of you as you wanted.
Why you mentioned Volley instead of Whirlwind.
Yeah, because Volley's Whirlwind's not nearly as good. I mean, if you're getting swarmed, then yeah, you're going to be able to hit everybody there in one turn, which is nice, but...
It kind of reminds me of a more sloppy version of the Drunken Monk feat, or Drunken Monk feat, where he just used flurry of blows on everyone in a circle within 5 feet.
I guess Conjure Barrage is pretty good. I guess it's pretty good. I guess that's fine.
At lower levels.
Yeah, but it does less.
That's true, but still 1d8 in a giant 60-foot cone?
That's fair. I guess that's fair. I guess it's better than I kind of gave it credit for.
My thoughts on it. Then Superior Hunter's Defense. What was the original for this one?
So you got to choose between three things.
Okay.
You got to choose evasion. When you basically evasion does what evasion does. You probably know what evasion does.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah.
You make a dex saving throw. Whenever you have to make a dex saving throw to avoid damage from a spell or an effect, you take half damage on a failure and no damage on a success.
Oh my god, that was a subclass feature on Ranger.
That was a subclass feature on Ranger, yes. Alternatively, Stand Against the Tide, which is kind of what this new one is based on. When a hostile creature misses you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction to force that creature to repeat the same attack against another creature other than itself.
Huh.
And then, or you could take Uncanny Dodge. Basically, you just have the damage.
Uncanny Dodge.
Yeah.
So, this one, so this is the only one where like I feel like I'm kind of mixed on it for a 14th level. Just because in my mind, when I originally read this, I was like, oh, cool, it's Uncanny Dodge with extra steps.
Yeah.
But
so, what Hunter's Defense does is it basically combined Stand Against the Tide and Uncanny Dodge, but it took away the part of Stand Against the Tide where you get to make them make a full attack. It just takes the damage that you didn't take and you put it on a different creature.
I think the only, because my big issue with this is you need another creature next to you. But I think the only reason why I'm kind of like, I like this a bit is from the messed up reason of, oh cool, it can hit me. I can put the rest of the damage on the tank.
Well, here's the thing. It says you can. You could just not. You don't have to. You get the reaction to have the attack damage. You get the choice of redirecting that damage. You do not have to do that.
Oh,
so
yeah. You can redirect, not you have to redirect.
So if it was you have to, it would be way worse. But it's not.
Oh yeah.
You just it's basically like you get Uncanny Dodge, and then if there's another creature within 5 feet of you, you can just throw that damage that you took away onto them.
That honestly makes me kind of like this a bit more. I didn't read it that way.
Yeah. It's good. It's literally, like I said, the only one that I was kind of iffy on was the multi-attack change. But now that you said it, the range kind of makes up for it. So,
oh yeah.
So you know what, Hunter? That's kind of changed my mind. Hunter, it's fine. Less. My friend is like, oh, but there's less choices with Hunter. I'm like, well, yeah, but they basically just gave you the choices everybody chose anyway, or you lose out on defensive tactics, and that's the only thing that you lose out on. You get Hunter's Lore instead.
So, are you ready to go into the controversial one?
The Rogue.
And I have.
I'm gonna let you talk about this because I'm sure that you have some strong.
As a rogue man. As a rogue man. I will say this much: like I wrote in giant bold letters. Rogues are dead. Oh my god, what are we going to do?
That might be a little exaggeration, considering of all the classes here, Rogue was changed to the least.
I know, right? Just to kind of get my thoughts on like the big thing right away with sneak attack. Well, first I'm just going to say this much. It's clear that Wizards have an issue with rogues. Because this is twice in a row, month to month, where they made a change that drastically affected rogues.
Yes.
So that's interesting by itself. But no reaction sneak attack.
Nope.
And not only just that, but the idea that you have to do it on your turn. So you got a battle master with you that's giving you like, yeah, go in, roll, get your attack off. You won't get sneak attack with it. If you go, oh, let me ready an attack. Let me get like an attack ready. Cause they're gonna bust through this door. You won't get sneak attack on that. And that's all those things to me is odd.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of limiting factors that were added into sneak attack.
That I feel like for no reason. Because I give them a rogue is a high damage dealer. But to me, all it is you look at fighters or paladins would do like they're 100 plus damage, but it's spread off over like here's 20 here, here's 30 here, here's 30 here. Versus rogue, which just goes here's 40 damage, here's just like a bunch of dice on the table at once. All right, I did that. That's the end of my turn. And I
definitely think they might have gone a bit too far with sneak attack.
I do think making it like I have to people's surprise listening to this. I don't have a strong issue with them making it where you can't sneak attack off of a reaction. I feel like you should be able to. That goes into the flavor of a sneak attack, as in they don't see the attack coming, so you doing an opportunity attack on them. To me, is them not seeing it coming. But the idea that you only can get it on your turn and no other turn.
Yeah, that definitely conflicts with, like you said, classes that could give you, attacks off of your turn.
Mm-hmm. So,
outside of that, for base rogue, not that much changed, other than just having stuff moved down.
I like the fact that you get the extra language with it. Evasion's 9th level now instead of 7th level. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, they pushed that back. They also pushed some stuff forward as well, though.
Which ones do you have in mind? What do they
actually expertise got pushed back as well because you used to get that at 6th. Let's find out. Reliable talent. Reliable talent is the same.
Oh my god!
They get subtle strikes. That's new.
Yeah, subtle strikes is a brand new thing, which, honest to God, is fine.
Yeah. You have advantage on any attack roll that targets a creature. It basically just adds built-in advantage.
It does. It does what Tasha did for us at level 1, but at level 13.
Yeah.
Slightly better though. You can move now.
I think Slippery Mind got buffed. Slippery Mind
buff with an asterisk.
Well, because here's the thing, right? Before you got proficiency in wisdom saving throws. Now you get proficiency in wisdom and charisma. Yeah, which is nice. And it's
fantastic for the for both the few people out there that was running a elf plus bro. That's nice for them. And the second thing is for the 4 or 5 monsters is going to do a charisma save on you versus a wisdom save. So that's why I said like it's an asterisk. It is a buff, but it's like one of those. What do you do?
You get elusive 1 level earlier as well.
Yeah, 17th instead of 18th. I can't remember what elusive does on top of my head.
Same thing that it does here. I don't think it's changed at all.
Oh yeah, attack rolls have advantage against you while you aren't incapacitated. That's fine.
And then Stroke of Luck is 18th, obviously, instead of 20th.
And Stroke of Luck got a big buff.
It did, yeah. Because before, if your attack misses a target within range, you can turn the miss into a hit. Alternatively, if you fail an ability check, you can treat the D20 roll as a 20, short or long rest. And now it's
a guaranteed crit.
Yeah, if you fail a D20 test, which I'm going to remind you and everybody in the audience, a D20 test is basically any D20 roll, an attack, a save, or a check.
You turn the roll into a 20.
Yep.
And a 20 on attack roll is
so you get to add basically add attack. Well, I guess it had attack on there already, but you get to add checks in there as well. Or not checks, saves. It had ability checks. Yeah, saves were not in Stroke of Luck. Now they are because of the D20 test. So, yeah, that's really nice as well. Yeah, so like Rogue, other than obviously the sneak attack snafu, not that much different. Some stuff got moved around a little bit.
A lot of his stuff got moved to later levels. It is sneak
attack. All right.
Like that.
Lay it on me. I know you're going to want to talk about Thief, so go for it.
Thief was one of my least favorite rogue subs. I didn't care much about it. That said, people want to play Thief. I was like, that's fine. I said, Power, you do you. It's great. That said, oh my god, don't play a Thief. Do not play it.
So you think it's really bad now, basically?
I wrote down like my highlights I had when I was going through it, where it's like, fast hits, You can't activate idols anymore with fast hands. Like, oh, that's bad. Second story works. It makes rogues work the way they used to work, which is your dex becomes acrobatics instead of your strength. Like,
yep. That's pretty nice, I guess.
Supreme Sneak, I don't think is bad. Supreme Sneak, I go a step further and say I think Supreme Sneak is better.
Yeah, and this kind of ties into the fact that you have to get a 15, right, to even enter into stealth now. Hey, guess what? It'd be really handy to have an advantage on every time you have to do that, plus all your bonuses. So the big one, of course,
we always had advantage on the stealth. That's the thing. But now it's just on everything.
Yeah.
Use magical items.
Well, here's the thing, though. Here's the important thing. You know what Supreme Sneak used to do? You had advantage on dexterity stealth check if you move no more than half your speed on the same turn.
That was stupid.
It was, and that's gone now, so it has changed.
Like I said, Supreme Sneak is better.
Also, Supreme Sneak used to be a 9th level, and it's 6th level now.
Which is also great. That part I forgot to mention.
But the big one that everybody's talking about is use magical device.
Oh, what? No. I was going to say the blast power.
No. My friend is infuriated with use magical device because what use magical device used to do is you get it 3 levels earlier. That's one thing. But you've learned enough about the workings of magic that you can improvise the use of items even when they are not intended for you. You ignore all class, race, and level requirements on the use of magic items. I personally think that this was incredibly stupid and never should have been put in the game in the first place.
Whoa.
Because what's the point? What's the point of even having level or class requirements on an item at that point if you have somebody
if it was on every other class? Absolutely. As just a part of a subclass whose whole thing is about stealing and taking things for themselves? I thought that was perfect.
Well, maybe, but I mean, the whole point is, like, if you have a sentient sword that will only accept the most holy of paladins to wield it, and then the thief just goes,
I'm gonna steal
nope, it's mine now. The sword's not just gonna let that happen if it's a sentient item. You can't just cheat that requirement. It doesn't make any sense. Also, it leads me to believe that a lot of the class, race, and level requirements of magic items are probably going away.
Kinda.
I think race requirements at the least are probably going away.
I go stuff. I think race and class are leaving. Level, I think.
Probably. Yeah, so, like, I feel like the people that really are unhappy about this might not realize that a lot of these things probably aren't even going to exist anymore.
Which is something to keep in mind, too, with all this.
Yeah, and personally, the ability to tune to an extra magic item is awesome. You can use items without expending charges sometimes. You get to use scrolls. That's not something that you can normally do.
That said, though, all these things suck when in comparison to you can use any magic item.
You can use any magic item, exactly. But, like I said, I never liked that in the first place.
Did the spell scrolls always work this way? We need a certain class to use them?
I don't think so, but I think you did have to at least have spellcasting in order to use a scroll.
Because I was reading that, I thought it was weird. I was like, you can make a check to use spells above first level, or Arcana spell level. It's like, oh, huh.
Also, thieves' reflexes got nerfed as well.
What have they done?
Yeah, before you just got to take 2 turns during the first round. Yeah.
Now you have a second bonus action that you can only use for a cunning action. That you can only use to dash, disengage, or hide.
Yeah, that one.
What?
That one's.
And like it could have get even worse. You can only do this a set amount of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Like, dude.
Yep.
Dude.
I feel like this would be fine if they had just kept old thieves' reflexes but changed use magic device. But yeah, like this is. You could have
kept old thieves' reflexes and just made that up to your proficiency bonus per long rest.
Yeah, this is Yeah, this is such a massive nerf to Thief, which already wasn't necessarily super great, you know.
So what was your thoughts going into Rogue again? I need to hear.
The base class is fine, I'm pretty sure, you know, other than maybe the sneak attack thing being a bit iffy, but Thief is not great. Yeah, it's I really wish that they brought back old D's reflexes.
It makes me also look at it and go, what are you guys going to do for Assassin? The class that everyone knows is bad. Like, because for me, I'm like, this is the one I felt lukewarm to and wanted to see what they did. Oh my god.
They took the subclass you felt lukewarm to and made it into probably the worst now.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not going to talk about all of the feats. There's a lot to talk about. We've already talked a lot. I want to talk about epic boons, though.
Let's go into
Like I said, we might have to do a different day just to like go over the other feats and the spell lists, because I want to do that, because I feel like there's a lot of insight we could gain by seeing like what spells these classes would theoretically even have access to. We're not getting like
another big update until next month, so we have plenty of time if you ever want to
them
again.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, let's talk about boons.
I'm so I like the idea that you get boons at level 20. Because
yes.
Are you aware of the current system for them or not?
I do not know the current epic boon system.
So,
no.
And this is part of my issue I have with epic boons currently. These are the same epic boons we have in 5e right now. There's no difference between them whatsoever.
I did not know that.
The way epic boons used to work is, if you do something involving any type of godly entity or any amazing feat that can get your name written into the stars, Hercules style, your DM gives you an epic boon.
Oh, that's way too that's way too vague.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a DM. I know for a fact that DM would never ever do anything like that.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I enjoy them being tied to a level now. Because now it is you do this, you get this. Which is something I always prefer. Those systems I always like more. That said, the fact that they're not new. They're the same ones you could have always gotten. And my thought process I always had, the ones we always got was, these are considered your limit breaks at level 20. Like, this is how you go level 20 even further beyond.
Yeah.
And I look at it and go, this doesn't feel like... to me, I feel like it should be some kind of real big game changer. And there are some that are like that.
Yeah. They're like, just kind of run down. I think a lot of these are real nice, personally. I kind of had the opposite reaction. While I looked at these and went, holy crap, these are great.
But also, I think it is the fact you didn't know they already existed.
Yeah, I didn't even know they already existed. But to be fair... I feel like the fact that I didn't know they existed kind of basically means they're still new, because I've never had a DM ever give anybody an epic boon.
Fair.
Let's
go through the list of them.
Yeah, first off, expert or warrior. When you miss an attack, you just hit once per initiative.
Fucking horrible.
Oh, you think this is really bad?
Well, to me, the thought process of once per initiative for a level 20, you get to hit a hit you missed. Outside of Paladin, I look at this and I go, why? Why?
See, I love this. I'm like, cool. I get a hit when I might need it the most.
It just doesn't feel like level 20 worthy, I guess.
It feels like there needs to be something else here as well.
Like, I feel like there's something over here that just kind of got caught off right away. And I would have loved it if they said experts can't get this, only warriors can get it. And it was something insane, like once per your extra attacks. One of those attacks can do this.
Yeah. Dimensional travel. You're expert or mage. You just get Misty Step. You don't have to use it as a spell. You get it for every initiative, or short or long rest. Cool.
Whoop-de-doo, you don't use a level 1 spell slot.
Oh, is Misty Step really a level 1 spell? Yikes. Okay, yeah, That's bruh. Yeah.
Audience, because like you don't know us the way I do. I will say I'm not being that guy to him. I really am just this lukewarm to these.
No, yeah, like not like I didn't real like if this was like Dimension Door or something.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
You know, as the name implies. Yeah. Yeah, these feel like they need a lot of these debuffs now that you're talking about it. You gain resistance to one of the following damage types of your choice. I mean, people are just going to pick the most common ones.
Probably fire.
You can change the damage type. That's cool, though. I like that you can change.
Okay. That part's kind of nice. So this is one I said I don't have any strong feeling to it. In my mind, I kind of just look at it and go, cool, you're a chromatic dragon once a day.
Yeah.
This isn't bad, necessarily.
Yeah, so this is this is what I was talking about with the fortitude. So, HP max increased by 40, nice. Mm-hmm. Whenever you regain hit points, whenever, from any effect, you get additional hit points equal to your con modifier. Once per round. That's, I mean, if you're a tank and you're dumping Constitution, that's nice. That's real nice.
What? Why are you dumping Constitution as a tank?
Sorry, not dumping. I always use the term wrong. The opposite of dumping. Because when I hear dump, I'm like, oh, you're dumping all your points into it. It's like, no, a dump stat is what you don't put points into. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, to me, it's
should be called like a void stat.
I mean, I guess that makes more sense too. But to me, I guess like my thought process is like, if you get your con above 5, i.e., if you're playing a barbarian, I think this is pretty solid because that's like 10 extra HP per round, roughly. Otherwise, it's like 5 extra HP from like a health potion. Let's be fair, your cleric is not spamming heal spells on you.
No. Well, I think that's the key is it's like on any class that has like natural regenerative stuff it can get, this is really nice. And I think that's what it's meant for, you know, really.
But the only ones I can think of like that are like paladins. And to me, it's like once you have that anyway, the amount of HP you're getting back, 5 doesn't seem worth it to me.
Probably not. Well, it's 5 on top of whatever else is happening, though. So
that's true, but I'm probably
it's
more
just
excited about other stuff than that. Like to me, HP. My thought process, I guess I always kind of have is just like if you're above 0, you're doing great.
Yeah. Irresistible offense. This one is amazing.
All right, let's see what we have for this one.
Damage you deal always ignores resistance. Any damage.
That's amazing.
Any damage. That is amazing.
Go. That's a level 20. And that is one of the 2 I was thinking about.
Yeah, that you're right. That's a perfect idea of like you look at this and you go, I want that. I want this. Yeah. Luck is pretty nice as well. Immediately after you roll a d20 for a d20 test, which of course is anything that is a d20 test, you can roll a d10 and add the number rolled to the test, and you get that every short or long rest. That's nice.
Cool. You get a bardic inspiration.
You get a bardic inspiration. Yeah, I feel like if you could, here's my thing, right? Okay. The same thing happens with magic cards a lot, where it's like, if you cut off that last sentence, this would be
this ain't that bad. This would be arguably overpowered.
I feel like a lot of these would be better if you cut the last sentence off of them. Like, you can use the Misty Step so without expending a spell slot, dead stop, you know? Or, you know, every time you roll a d20, you can add a d10, full stop.
Don't quote me on this, but I feel like the 5e version of these don't have that additional sentence. Don't quote me on that.
So, like, I feel like, here's my thought process, right? It's level 20.
Mm-hmm.
Give them something overpowered. They're not getting any more levels after this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, it's the magic card dilemma. Cut off a sentence from, like, because, like, with magic cards, it's like a couple words where it's like, cast this only as a sorcery or whatever. It's like, oh, that almost was a great card, but then you added those little words at the end. This is like, cut off that last sentence for a lot of these, and then it becomes way better.
And you know something that kind of worries me now, even thinking back to it now? The reason Epic Boons, I think, quote-unquote, work the way they are in 5e is you can get more than one. You can get multiple and just stack them up.
And now you can't, so...
Now it's just the one. It's like, oh, no, you need them stronger. You need them stronger than this.
Night Sprint, though, I think is awesome. It's you just get invisible instead of hide, basically.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool for a stealth character.
I mean, part of me wants to be that guy, but like, cool, you're a level 3 Gloomstalker Ranger with extra steps. But no, it actually is a really good idea. Like, I actually love the way this is working.
Peerless aim. If you make a ranged attack against a target in range and miss, it's basically combat prowess but ranged. Yeah, it's just combat prowess but ranged. Moving on.
I will hold on for a second. I will give this of a thought to it. I do think you get more Bane ranged attack, not spell attack. Never mind, let's move on.
Yeah. You can use a bonus action to regain a number of hit points equal to half your hit point maximum. Yeah, that's nice.
This is amazing.
I feel like recovery, you probably want to take recovery over the fortitude.
Oh my god. And
because, I mean, yeah, you're not getting health back every time you're getting healed, but you just get to...
talk about the second effect on it, too. It gets even better.
And this is the time where you tacked on the extra sentence, and now it's worth it. Yeah, you succeed on every death saving throw, and it is a roll of 1. That's amazing.
Oh, and that's what I was saying, like, recovery, and I'm pretty sure it was irresistible offense. I was like, why would you pick any two here other than those two?
And then we have the most expert of expert. You just get proficiency in everything. That's nuts. That's crazy.
My thought process at level 20, you probably could do this anyway. Like, what
my only complaint is I feel like they should have an expert prerequisite, because this is the expert thing. This is the expert thing.
This was bad. I bet you're gonna disagree with you. I feel like this should have had any other one but expert up to it. In my mind, you're probably not failing. You're a jack of all trades on Bard. You have expertise and can't roll lower than a 9 anyway on Rogue. Like, in my mind, you're not going to fail a check.
But, like, when you build an entire category of classes off of proficiency, and then there's a level 20 feat that just lets people get proficiency and everything, it kind of devalues them, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'll go a step further. This should be their level 18 skill for all 3 expert classes.
Yeah, no. No.
I think it's right.
Your speed is increased by 30 feet. Oh my god.
That's actually kind of mental.
Yeah, that's actually mental. And then you add that onto stuff like Ranger, where it gets an extra 10 feet too. And then it's just like, you're moving potentially 70 or 80 feet in a turn.
You thought about Ranger. My mind went immediately to Rogue, who has cunning action.
Yeah, or Rogue. You literally just dance around the field every turn, you know?
It's 180 feet, basically.
You could have people on two sides of a friggin' arena, friggin' backstab one, disengage, and then run up to the next one.
The next guy.
And ready to just do it again, yeah.
You know what? Since you're playing a thief, you get that bonus action twice. Dash one more time.
Like, nobody's escaping from you. No, never. They cannot get away.
That's I'm okay. I changed my mind. There's 3 of them. I think it's like must have.
You can't be seen or heard by any means, magical or non-magical, while you're hidden. So you got to get hidden first, but once you're hidden, they cannot find you. Hidden just
requires you to no line of sight and then 3/4 cover.
Yeah, yep.
Can't be seen or heard by any magical or non-magical means.
As a bonus action, you can take the disengage action. Oh, cool, you're a rogue. Which also
is
yeah.
That's too specific. I'm sorry. What? You can bonus action ungrapple yourself, break the full Nelson.
I mean, that's cool, but this feels like a subclass feature. This doesn't feel like a level 20 epic boon.
Oh my god, was that the last epic boon?
That's it.
Oh
that's
god.
all. That's all you get. I will say,
congrats you. You made me feel even worse about these than I did going into.
I will say,
yes.
In this, the warrior and mage specific ones are not here. The only ones that are here are the ones that are expert or no prerequisite.
That's true.
So for all we know, maybe the expert ones just suck.
But also, I would say, I know for a fact we don't have all the epic boons here for the PHB, and the fact that all these are the ones there, I guarantee I know what all the rest of them are already.
Yeah, so we'll see if they make any changes there, but I like the premise of the epic boons, but I agree. I feel like a lot of them need to be a lot better.
Maybe more. God.
Half of them, you just need to cut the last sentence off, and then you're there, you know?
Honestly, after reading that speed one, I want more fun ones like that. I want more ones that, like, yeah, damage-wise, and yeah, like, me love my big number stuff isn't the best thing ever, but me looking at it and going, I can make a build around that. Because that just seems fun.
I mean, like, imagine the flavor if you had Fearless Aim and the flavor is literally I never miss, you know? I mean,
only
yeah,
attack
it's
once
stupid.
per turn when I make that attack.
Yeah, it's stupid, but imagine if it was just you never missed, you know? That might be too much still, but...
what's the other one? What's the melee one? Once per turn too? No, it was once till you get a...
Okay, here's the thing. You know what would make combat prowess and Peerless Aim better?
What was that?
Tie it to your proficiency bonus instead of only once per initiative.
Oh yeah, that would have been great.
That now it's great. Now it's amazing. You know, it's just little things like that. You know, I can tell they're being conservative because they don't want it to be overpowered. But it's level 20. Who cares?
What's the point of being level 20? You are overpowered.
If you make it that far in a campaign,
you deserve to be overpowered.
Because nobody gets to level 20. No one. It never happens.
I do think they're trying to make it for people who want to play at those higher levels more. At least that's how it feels so far. We're looking at like the changes for the class.
Well, here, I feel like it's kind of counterintuitive because I feel like the epic boons, they want them to be only okay on purpose because it won't make you feel bad about multi-classing. Because it's like, oh, I missed the epic boon, that sucks, but I can make up for it by making my,
level 18 capstones now.
Exactly, yeah. So like you could, splash 2 levels of fighter or something, and then 18 in your main class, and then you'd still get your capstone.
Paladins are the main one I think of when I think about this. But I'm so curious to see what the level 20s look like now for classes like Paladin, whose final subclass feature is level 20.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what theirs are looking like.
Well, it's late. I want to eat, but is there anything else that you urgently want to talk about before we go?
No, you pretty much hit everything. The rest of the stuff, like the spells and the regular feats.
Yeah, we'll schedule another one specifically, like going over the spells and figuring out like which ones you could use for the new restrictions and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Also, my friend basically said that they felt that Ranger was to Druid as Paladin is to Cleric. Would you agree with that?
No.
Okay, good, because I don't really agree with that either.
If anything, like I kind of looked at it and went, I feel almost too Geralt from Witcher now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's more like they have the druid style spells, but they're more combat oriented, kind of like how cleric leans more into the spells, while paladin leans more into the martial.
I do love the direction they took it, because my original thought process for Ranger was take the hunter subclass and just build the entire Ranger class around that.
Around that, yeah. And they sort of did that,
but better in my opinion.
Yeah, Ranger is definitely good now.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's a complaint there. Rogues are in danger.
As somebody that predominantly plays martial classes, I feel I'll have a lot more opinions when that document drops.
I mean, I'm a martial main too, but
because right now I'm just kind of like, cool, these are 3 classes that I basically never play.
they definitely picked one of my big ones, because I almost exclusively play rogue whenever I'm not a cleric. I'm glad to say my heart was stabbed on that one, so I just want to see how like deep the knife goes.
I was about to say, we got to see the other subclasses, because that knife might get deeper. or maybe it'll be fine. Maybe the subclasses will be so good it'll make up for the nerfs to the core class.
I'll go ahead and be that guy and say it. I think it's just an upward climb from here.
Yeah, you ripped the Band-Aid off already, you know?
There was one thing I was hearing a lot of people mention that kind of got me. The thought process of them mentioning we had 40,000 people who did the first surveys, which is incredible. Because to me, the more people doing those, the better we can hope that 1D&D
yes.
being. That said, are you on the team of the belief that they made these role changes specifically to get more people to go, man, we can beat that number, 40,000. Really get people filling out that survey.
I think it's like you said initially, where it's more their brains kind of leaning towards they want Rogue to be less like just dominating.
Mm-hmm.
But I, like you also brought up, I don't know if this is the right way to go about it.
No, it's not.
Yeah, like you as someone that plays Rogue clearly does not like this change at all. So,
Ooh, no. And I will admit too, it's like that's something I always try to like be careful of when I'm going through these. Is like not trying to add too much of my biases to certain things, but at the same time, it's like, oh my god.
Well, and it's like, they want to hear that. And also I feel Rogue was in one of the best positions as a class.
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird that they're kind of... I mean, obviously they didn't change a huge amount, but they did change some core things.
Did you watch Crawford's video he put out talking about like all the different classes and things for this
document?
No,
I haven't watched it yet.
One of the big things he kept saying was everyone basically gave us the feedback for Rogue saying it's perfectly fine, don't change a thing. So we decided to do that, and we left Rogue as if we put this at this document. It got the fewest changes.
And that's not even true.
I'm just here like Crawford, did somebody give you the memo before you went in?
I was about to say, yeah, it's like, I don't think you understand how the wording changed on that. It was so drastically of a change.
But to that I say, everyone, thank you for listening. Minimum, I'm going to try to get one of these out once a month, just to like look at the changes they're doing and try not to cry on the mic as I go through most of them. And Ian, I appreciate you being here for it, buddy.
I've been me.
I was going to say, you don't have anything you want to promote or?
I don't know. There's this sandwich shop that I live by that's pretty good. That tastes pretty good. I don't remember what it's called. There's my promotion. There you go.
I'm running for mayor in 2024 of this town, so let's see. You'll get some fun ones then. But till then, everyone, thank you all for listening, and I'll catch you all next time.